With the Gen AI wave or any I think wave, right? The big thing is you sort of look at this as you're trying to catch up, or you feel a big FOMO actually in the market. You feel like we got to do all these things, otherwise people are not going to use your product, right? But we were inspired by the speed of execution in the AI space, and that's led by OpenAI first, and we were like, if these guys are shipping so fast, and we had this culture of shipping fast from day one. I'm saying like day one, we believed in shipping really, really fast. And combination of that with the advancement, we just mirrored that really seamlessly, actually. That way, we didn't sort of like let our customers leave because the space is so hot and exciting that existing customers might want to try new tools, especially in our space. So if we can give them the same experience, right? At least as long as that's a marketing domain, then that will solve the problem. So
Ajay Yadav, I'm super excited to have you, man. How are things with you?
good, good. Thanks for having me. I mean, reconnecting with you after what, I don't know, years, almost like a decade it feels like, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the last time we met was in 2013, and I feel like you have reverse aged from the last time I met. I've aged plus 10. So that's good to see.
I know we both got old. That's the one
Yeah.
thing that we both got old, man. That's all. Yeah,
So the secret to reverse aging is to start something on your own twice, right? To do something for like 8, 9 years and move to the next stint.
I think it is. You get beat up a lot, and you just get to take a lot of punches, and then you get back up again, and then do it again. I think that's what it is actually.
Agreed. Agreed. Anyway, listen, thank you for doing this. I know you're super busy, and we connected while you were in the US, and now you're here visiting India. With your team is, I'm
Yeah,
assuming, in the north, right?
yeah. Our team is. Team is globally spread out, but I think in India we have Pune, we have Delhi. We just hired someone in Bangalore actually. I'm super excited about. So, wherever we can find the best talent, I think, regardless of the location, we try to find them near Delhi or Pune, but very happy that there are people spread across a couple of states. I'd say.
Agreed. Listen, anyway, I feel like I'm excited to have you on our podcast more because I feel like the simplified journey started way before the generative AI space really picked up, right? So, like, I feel like November
Yeah.
2022 is when it's like, oh, everyone needs to be Gen AI powered, but somehow simplified seems to have figured out how to get there before maybe most others. So, let's start with maybe Asia, like, what's been your inspiration? How did you kind of get into it? And then I'll get into the nitty gritties post that with you.
It often looks like that. You're either catching up or you're ahead of the curve, right? In this case, like Gen AI. And I think in our case, and what Simplified does, I think post pandemic, we were thinking that teams are spread out, right? And they're not in person in office. So you can't really sort of work with them in real time and collaborate. That feeling was missing. And how do you really get a marketing campaign up? So our big thing was that how do you really design marketing campaigns? If people are not in the same place, so we need to think about, can we build something, a space, a place where you can collaborate and do more with less and bring people together, like a design tool. So we started as a design tool, and we built a design
Mm.
tool. And this is the same time almost when this Gen AI is, before Gen AI was Gen AI, by the way, just AI,
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
sort of like coming out. So we were lucky enough, I'd say, that we were building a very foundational, sort of the solid business, I'd say, like a tool, and that is like sort of an app product, hardcore for design. And then we built video on top of it. Then that same time, our thought process was not like, hey, let's build some Gen AI capabilities, actually. I think our big thing was, if people design marketing campaigns, the next big thing they struggle with is marketing copy. Lorem ipsum has been around forever, right? And every marketing campaign shows you like lorem ipsum, right? It can be a blog, it can be like for an e-commerce store, it can be selling whatever. So we were like, how do you replace a lorem ipsum? How can designers see what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it smells like, right? And
Mm.
I think that idea led to us finally integrating the Gen AI capabilities for marketing campaigns, and then grew to now marketing looks much bigger, right? You're writing blog posts, you're writing sales copy, you're writing business copy, writing all sorts of copy, and then that became video, and then kind of kept evolving. So I think we've been keeping up with I'd say the advancements and maybe the release of what's happening in the Gen AI space.
Tell me this. So Simplified started when, in 2021,
2020
early
actually.
2021, 2020.
Yeah,
Okay, so
2020.
bang in the middle of the
2020. Yeah,
pandemic.
October 2020 actually. Yeah.
Okay, and tell me this: from November 2022 to, obviously, as of today, you've seen so much happen in the Gen AI space. How have you powered your product, or how have you kind of looked at the space and say, maybe these are the new features we need to add? This is what our competitors are doing. What's been your approach with this wave?
With the Gen AI wave or any, I think, wave, right? The big thing is you sort of look at this as you're trying to catch up, or you feel a big FOMO actually in the market. You feel like we got to do all these things, otherwise people are not going to use your product, right? Like that's just a fear that people have actually, or maybe the excitement. I think it's both excitement and fear at the same time. But we were inspired by the speed of execution in the AI space, and that's led by OpenAI first, and then of course Hugging Face and so many other things came along, and Midjourneys and Bard and Facebook and blah blah blah, right? And we were like, if these guys are shipping so fast, and we had this culture of shipping fast from day one. I'm saying like day one, we believed in shipping really really fast, and combination of that with the advancement, we just mirrored that really seamlessly actually. So we built anything, everything that was needed to create marketing campaigns, from design, from video, from publishing, whatever it was, from hashtag generator, as simple as that, to maybe creating a whole design campaign, or maybe videos and subtitles and blogs. So we kind of like really just like not catching up, but actually at par with the speed of advancement. We just kept building stuff for our customers, and that way we didn't sort of like let our customers leave, because the space is so hot and exciting that existing customers might want to try new tools, especially in our space.
Mm,
So if we can give them the same experience, right, at least as long as that's a marketing domain, then that will solve the problem. So
right.
that's what we did basically.
Nice. So, if you had to break it down in terms of, I mean, for the folks who are just new to Simplified, what are all the offerings? I mean, I've played around with the tool. There's like a Canva like play, and then you can do a lot of these marketing campaigns. And there's a generative image
Yeah.
angle, copy angle, all of that. But
Yep. Yep.
for those people who don't know enough about Simplified, what's the core? And you mentioned all the ancillary stuff, but if you had to break it down into all the features that's available, what would that look like?
So when you think of like marketing campaign, right, we think of marketing campaign as a marketing team first, and we're like, okay, what does a team look like? And the team, this is the team that looks across businesses actually, big or small. It look like in a marketing team, there's one marketing manager, and most like that can be an owner, that can be a small business owner, that can be just CEOs, and that can be like actually the marketing managers. And then you have sort of you have a designer on team, you have a video person on team, you have a social media manager, and you have a copywriter. And people can play different roles, right? You can have more people, less people, and they can do more work or less work. So that's what we do. So we design Simplify to really sort of resemble that team. So when you think of marketing campaigns, you can come to Simplify. We offer multiple apps, and apps like design, so graphic design, video editing, that's like full editing, AI, and then subtitling and whatnot. Then you have copywriting, that's marketing campaigns or ads copy, whatever, to full blog posts and articles and cover letters and whatnot. And then you have sort of the social media manager actually. So when you design these campaigns or create these campaigns, you want to push them to social media, right? So you're managing all those accounts within Simplified. So all social media channels, you got the analytics, you got the inbox management, you got the team workflows, you got the client approvals, bulk scheduling, all these really amazing fun stuff actually.
Hmm.
So this is the core crust, the core product, and then there's a bunch of smaller AI apps like to create presentations, to thumbnails, or maybe covers, and you can do all these fun stuff to text to video, and all those fun things, from converting an image to something else, maybe a video
Hmm.
compression. All those tools that people need to do their daily task for marketing.
Nice. And which feature are you seeing used the most? Is there like one that kind of people go start as the anchor and then kind of trickle into the others?
Hard to answer, man. It's really hard to answer that question. I think we don't see it like that. We just see it's not about which one is more or less. It's like you're right, and you're right. Anything can anchor anything. But if I give you the whole, a big picture answer would be creation is more. So
Hmm.
people do create campaigns around, like I said, design, video, and then writing is the bulk of it actually, and then all that is getting published. I'm talking millions of posts getting published to social media channels. So like the volume is large,
Okay.
because words are more than design, right? Like, so that's why you can say a billion words written, but that's just the way
Hmm.
the words work.
Yeah.
It's not the same as like design is going to work that way, right? Yeah, but I think creation is overall a lot more.
Okay. And if we had to look under the hood a little bit, right? Like if we had to talk about
Yeah.
uh, just how the products evolved, do you feel like, or maybe, I mean, maybe I don't know enough, but before OpenAI, it was a lot of the product, did it still have an AI ML angle to it? And like where the data sets collected, and then post OpenAI has that started powering a lot of the apps? How's your product evolved with OpenAI?
We're using a bunch of, I mean, things, man. I mean, I think my co-founder can answer that question better than I do on the tech side, But
Sure.
what I can tell you is we're using Bard, we're using OpenAI, a lot of Amazon stuff. Um, Hopefully testing Facebook stuff as well soon. So we are. But this LLM is a very interesting idea, and the way we look at it is like, we have this sort of data that where creation happens with publishing, right? You design a campaign, write some blog posts, then you publish it directly using Simplified to your WordPress, to your Shopify blogs, or to your whatever you are, right? Or Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. And then we get the data back. We get to see the views, the clicks, the CTRs, and ad copy, whatever, right? So I think we're collecting a lot, like a ton of data that is flowing through Simplified, and over time that becomes a really really good commodity, right? Like that becomes the LLM. You can train that,
Mm,
and then you
yeah.
can you can now reverse it and say, hey, not only that we create content for you, but we actually know what kind of content will work better for you. It's not for everyone, but for you,
Mm,
we can tell a persona and ICPs and brand books and whatnot. So I think it's going to happen. At the stage, we're just optimizing for creation and publishing, but that's definitely on top of our mind to give this to our customers one day.
yeah. Actually, as you said this, Ajay, one thing that came to my mind is there's a tool called Wizard with a U, so Wizard. I think that's how maybe it's
Mhm.
pronounced. They have this feature called Focus Spotlight. So, like, once they make like a wireframe, you click on it, it shows you all the hot zones. Like, if let's say this had a
Mm.
wireframe with the call to action at the bottom, it'll show you, oh, this creative will do well because like the call to action at the bottom, which has a contrast color. So if you change the color to, let's say, I don't know, red to a blue, or like which merges a little more with the background, the hot zone from red maybe becomes a blue or a green, which I thought was super interesting.
Interesting.
And I think that could add to
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
stack, right? Like, because you have so much data around social campaigns, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
millions of people, on the platform. So the usage is high, right? And I think you're right. I think, and the experience kind of comes around like, imagine I am creating a campaign, and when these things can happen at the time of creation, it's that's the perfect timing. It's not like before and after, right? It's like I am now here creating something for my business, for my company, for myself, or as
Mm,
a brand. And if I can get insights right then and there, and then AI is plugged in nicely, then I think that is where the magic really happens at the time of creation.
right. Right. So Ajay, in terms of, I mean, obviously millions of users. Uh, I learned about Simplified because we were doing something in growth school, and it was like Simplified was doing this partnership with them. You're offering all these, uh, I, mean, I guess you're offering something for like 6 months for these
Yeah.
entrepreneurs
Hmm.
within the platform, right? And then I
Hmm.
talked to somebody else, and they're like, oh, there's an event coming up in India, and then Simplified's sponsoring the platform. I just like you have figured out that just to be everywhere, which I think is cool, given that you're in the US and you have a team here, right? So, what has been how are you looking at marketing Simplified itself? Assuming obviously like revenue, most of the revenue may be coming from the US and then it trickles into
Yeah.
other countries.
Yeah.
But how have you approached marketing?
I think you really just nailed it, right? I mean, the money is US. I mean, I think we strongly believe that, at least for now, our focus for revenue has to be US. So we do not look outside. We don't try to optimize, activate, do anything in any part of the world. We really do not have the time and bandwidth to do that, actually. But we do believe that since AI is such a small world, and the countries like India and a lot of developing, a lot of like other parts of the world that are like leading this sort of the part of the AI usage, we want to be part of that. Like we want to be where AI is being talked about, right? And given we have a large team in India, and we grew up in India, and the connection to just home, right, is that the how do we make sure that I think with such a large number, and the future to be like sort of like be unlocked, hundreds and millions of people in creative space creating stuff, right, and content creation, right? We cannot miss the opportunity not to be a part of that discussion now and be here and help. So we're not really out here to, hey, we're going to milk the money. We're here more like, hey, do you need help and you want to create a campaign? You want to have a tool that can power your business? We'll take a chance on you as much as you're taking a chance
Mm,
on ourselves, right? So it's like that's how we do all these partnerships and deals in India and Brazil and some other countries, right? It's like We want to be around these this age of like content creation. When it blows up, we'll be a part of it, and we'll power that through our platform.
And you're seeing that a lot in India, and I'm assuming, how are you seeing Europe and the UK? Like, is there any presence there, or are you playing an inbound, like anything that
Yeah,
comes through from there you entertain?
I mean, customer bases, like US, UK, Australia, very much, right? Some India as well, actually, and some Latam as well. But I think India is just very exciting for so many reasons, right? And the way people use it, the whole influencer space is going to the roof. Content creation is going to the roof in India, right? It's like these
Mm.
massive amounts of the sort of the look at the data. Data's gotten cheaper. Like since I grew up, and now data is the cheapest thing you can buy in India, right? It's like so cheap.
Yeah,
Any phone can work. The cheapest phone you can find in India, so everyone has access to it, right? That access is driving the consumption of data, and that fuels the creation of content, right? So
yeah,
this all these things are like such a right timing that we want to be here, and we say, hey, we'll help you create this content and be here with you as a long-term partner. Like that's the without doing much actually. Like this is the minimal effort we can do what we can do.
yeah.
So without going out of the way to do something, because given we're still a US based company, so we definitely focus there. Our focus is just the customer base in the US.
And what's the split you're seeing, Ajay, in terms of just enterprise versus small, medium businesses versus, let's say, startups, just use, or even solo entrepreneurs using your
Yeah,
product and paying for it?
crazy enough, Simplified was always designed for teams. Always like from day one, our vision was always around teams actually. So we freelancers are welcome. We like them, we love them, and they can use the product and they can do it. But it's really designed for teams, so we attract a ton of teams actually. But I think the split is um, we very much become a small, medium sized business company. We power
Mm.
the SMBs and mid market, and this was something we had to come to an agreement with ourselves. Like, hey, this is the largest market, or outside. I mean, I so enterprise is big in numbers, right? But do we want to do that?
Yeah.
And maybe we can do that later on. But today we want to make an impact. So, how many businesses can we impact? Hundreds and thousands of businesses around the world, right? Like they can use us to do better marketing, to actually even do marketing, so they can get
Mm.
more customers, they can go more clients, they can sell their services, right? So we want to power these people. So we're really on sitting today on the side of these small, medium sized businesses, and hopefully that changes tomorrow. But for now, that's what our focus is.
Yeah. And I see agencies also kind of piggybacking on this,
Yeah,
right? I mean, right, and design content
yeah,
agencies should absolutely use the suite, right?
yep,
So,
yep. We do have a bunch of
yeah.
them. Yeah, a bunch of them uses us. Yes.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit in terms of just competition. Tell me, like, for example, I feel like most SMBs are using Canva, Canva AI, and I understand
Yeah.
it's not, it may be more siloed than simplified, but what now I feel like with any company, there's some switching cost that kicks in from one tool to another,
Yeah.
whether that's time or whether it's actual money. So, how are you kind of convincing folks who are using a suite of tools in, let's say,
Mhm.
the SMB space to come and say, "Hey, listen, use simplified. Yeah, I'll let you kind of take the lead of that." How are you kind of thinking about that switch?
The answer comes from the customer. We ask the same question actually. We ask the same question. Why are you here? Like literally, we do a lot of demos and customer support and calls and whatnot. So I ask them. I mean, like our team asks them. My co-founder is asking the same question. Hey, why are you here? What do you need from us? What are you using? So they tell us like, oh, I'm using Canva. I'm using XYZ social media tool. I'm using XYZ writing tool, video tool. So why are you here? Why? And the problem is really defined by them. They're like, oh, I just can't get to make this work as like a workflow, right? I'm like, if I do design in Canva, that's amazing, but now I can't manage my social media the way I would want to manage social media.
Hmm.
Great analytics, great approval workflows, right? And inbox management. You can't do those things in Canva. Canva is very basic publishing, right? But a great design tool, right? Now then you think about like video. Canva can do subtitling,
Video.
can do advanced AI stuff with the videos, right? So you can do splits, you can do trims nicely, right? So then you look for another tool. So I think it's like really small businesses are constrained by resources, and these businesses need a lot more support, a lot more sort of these value for the money and for the time, right? The time is a bigger thing actually here. So coming in and giving them all these tools under sort of the one platform, and they can choose to buy. They don't have to buy all the tools actually. They can buy the apps they need,
Hmm.
and that unlocks that workflow as a productivity measure for them. And I think what we're really
Hmm.
selling is a workflow and a productivity, right? So now they can do more with less. And that's where the magic happens. And that's why they switch, because they're tired of these multiple apps, multiple seats, multiple payments, and not getting the work done as fast as they would like to.
Yeah. Actually, that just put in seeded an idea in terms of if you ever did performance. I think that before after might be cool to see. Like, hey, you're
Hmm.
a power user as a marketer, you're using tool A, B, C, D. You can create different logos that look very similar to your competitors, but not.
Yeah, yeah,
And then to be like,
yeah.
hey, this is the whole. Because I think when I look at simplified, right, like you learn the workflow piece once you sign up, but when I actually look at your landing page, it feels like, hey, I have all these cool features, but at the core of it is the workflow, right? I think
Workflow. Yeah,
that I think is solid, uh,
yeah.
and I see
You know,
that.
the landing page is long overdue for overhaul, I say. It's so old. I mean, whatever. But you're right. We're just so busy building it actually, and we will start actually. I think soon showing the data for paid campaigns. We want to show that because even just seeing the data for paid with social combined as like a data set, I think it really gives you insight into your business. What is working, right? And then you can cross mix man functions and whatnot. So I think that is something we're really looking forward to adding more value
Hmm.
to our customer base.
And are there integrations set up, AJ? Like in terms of do you integrate Google Analytics? Do you integrate with Facebook ads platform? Like how does the or is the where does the analytics come from?
It's of course all the platforms, right? So we support Google My Business, we support Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, WordPress, Shopify, LinkedIn, Twitter, right? I mean,
Hmm.
X.com, right? All the other ones, right? So whatever is there, the major ones we connect, and of course we get the data from them. But we are adding more and more integrations, and we're gonna just keep building integrations because we want to make sure the workflow is easy as possible for our customers. Like you can publish a blog post from Simplified to Shopify blogs. So your e-commerce store, your own Shopify
Hmm.
store, you can just publish blogs, right? You're running a WordPress site, WordPress store, you can just connect Simplified. You can push your content to WordPress. So we're gonna launch more of these, like Box, Dropbox. We support Google Drive. So like some are coming, some are new, and there's some more in the pipeline. But the goal is to keep building a lot of integrations to make sure that customers don't have to struggle with connection and data and whatnot.
Hmm. I almost feel like there is like HubSpot kind of. I wouldn't call it competition, but like I feel like maybe that's the space you're slowly moving towards, right? Like
Yeah.
Suite.
Hmm.
Maybe we
Sweet.
don't tell Dharmesha that we're moving into that space, but that's it feels
we're
like it's
not
going
we're
to be
not
a
moving. We are. it's,
right.
it's a marketing suite. Yeah, it's a marketing suite. Yeah, I mean that's what we think of ourselves now as a marketing suite. Actually, yeah.
Uh, cool. So what's been your experience like so far? Is just building this out. I mean, I know you did Rumi. That was a success. You did that from the US. You're still doing this from the US, but I feel like that was what an 8 year stint almost.
Yeah, almost 10 years, I'd say. And that was the most I learned, the most mistakes I ever made, was the fun I ever had, downtimes I've ever had. I think there was a journey and prepared me for this company. And it's been 3 years now, so we're still at it. And I think there's a decade to go. What we do is long term. I believe in long term thinking, and I think we're committed here, man. We will build a long term business. Actually, I think we want to add a lot of value to our customers, and that's all we care about. I think
Nice.
you can think of all the fancy stuff to talk about, but I think at the end of the day, you have a customer, and they got to see the value. So we're here for them,
Yeah.
basically.
And did that switch happen in terms of long term thinking uh, over the last decade or so, or has that always been the case ever since you started?
I think the last few years, I'd say even the last 2 years, actually, it's kind of crazy. After all this long journey, and now we come to a point where you want to stop chasing valuations, stop chasing the rounds, stop chasing the anything that has to do anything with fancy, right? And you start
Hmm.
chasing a great business, unit economics, and profitability and real money and real value. I think it's just shifted because we realize that if we focus on this, then there's more because we're doing this for long run. So there's no rush in our lives, right? So that means we have to settle down in a thought process where we're going to build this for the next 2 decades, right? So what do we want to build? A company that really can
Hmm.
stand and last that long, and that would be only because we have a great business that we built. Rounds going to come and go, and money's going to come and go, and whatnot. But a solid foundation is going to stay.
Yeah. And do you feel like as a result, your relationship with stress and money has that evolved in any way, or
Yeah,
this time around?
I think it did, and I think it has actually, and I think yeah, I think I don't get that stressed anymore. There's of course thing that does stress you, but I think it's just more a natural daily process of life. I think I'm more settled into like more calmer version of what it can be, and not being rattled by as I was in my 20s, and running a company. But oh my God, everything's just urgent and the world is crashing, and a lot of emotions, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of not having control over yourself, right? I think I've lived that life.
Mm.
I think now I'm more like grounded in that thought process, and it's coming from building the thought that you want to build a great business actually, and that is giving all the grounding you need. And yeah, you just do your job, man. Let's see whatever happens. We're not like we're in no rush.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, I'm with you. And I feel like it's funny. I was actually at Christ College today, and a lot of these kids between 18 and 22 were like, oh, we want to start something on our own. We're trying to do this. And I was
Yeah,
like, man, like, and to your point, like, I think the relationship with stress just considerably, and I hope considerably changes with age, right? Or with time. And
over time.
yeah, because I think you may be a lot more balanced and you don't take things as personally as you used to, maybe, right?
Yeah, it's like day by day. You take a day at a time, and you deal with it, and then you go with it, and you care about your people more, like your team. You care about the customers, and you just don't get moved and sort of like the rattled by a lot of the emotional stuff and circumstances that are happening around you. I
Hmm.
think those things are much more balanced. I feel like you can think more clearly what needs to be done.
Yeah. And I'm hoping all of this kind of adds up and that makes Simplified successful, right? And whatever success is for you, because I feel like it's such a, like your energy and the way you think about stress and how we're building for the decade or whether we're building for whatever is the mission. I think that energy trickles down into everybody, right?
Yeah,
So hopefully that'll lead to good output overall.
definitely, man. No, appreciate that. Thank you for that. And I think we're just very excited to build it, right? And that, I mean, it's like often you feel like the timing is off, market is off, or that you just never get to the product market fit. No one want to pay you money. I just it's a tough journey to do that, right? And I think somehow stars have aligned, and we feel really good about that. All of these things are here, and we don't have those
Hmm.
issues, right? So there are other
Yeah.
issues to solve, but those are not the ones.
As
So we are very
always.
excited about,
Yeah.
as always, to go with it, and see what happens.
Yeah. Actually, if you don't mind, if can we touch upon the fundraising journey also? How did that happen? I know you guys have raised around. Was that
Yeah.
an active fundraising play, or was that more, hey, we're getting traction inbound sharking, and then how did that happen for you?
Fundraising really has been different than the last companies we've ever done, and this is very much a traction based, a team based, sort of like the hey, we say something and we do it. We show our problems, what we have, and then we tackle them, and then resolve, and hopefully we succeed, and we fail. It's more like that, very chill approach, nothing crazy. We don't go out and meet 500 people anymore, right, and do that kind of stuff. So I think we're here, we're doing it, and I think we're showing. I think we have one value in the company that's called show don't tell. So everything is powered by show don't tell. The whole company,
Hmm.
all the employees and team members, and the fundraising. Like we just like want to show you, and even if you don't feel that we can raise money now, we'll hopefully do in the future because we're going to show you and tell you. Well. So that's really what it is. I think, yeah, very different approach than just by showing and just talking all the time and selling a
Yeah,
big vision.
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, one is in terms of just where is the space headed according to you, right? Like there's I do understand now everyone kind of needs to start using these tools, but how should designers, marketers, social media folks, like just the entire marketing team, how should they be looking at Gen AI, and how should they be looking at the suite of tools, whether they're part of an enterprise or an SMB?
I mean, one thing is, what I guess we've all realized that you have to accept Gen AI, right? I think the big thing is that everyone is going to have some piece, part, some play of Gen AI, right? No matter what form or shape. I think everything is going to have that. So first is the acceptance that this is here, this is happening, right? And now since the models and technology is getting cheaper and better and faster, so we also have to realize that hey, there's going to be a lot of it, a lot, and some is going to stick, and rest is just not going to stick, right? So as long as you build a moat, figure out what makes it stick, what adds real value, then a lot of fun stuff. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff, and I'm sure people are going to make a lot of money from a lot of fun stuff. But in the long run, I think everyone's trying to figure out what's a moat. How can we make it sticky? How can we really add value so people want to stay and use this versus XYZ, right? Because every day there's a new, every I think hour something's launching in AI, right? You feel like
Yeah.
explosion and you feel like that's too much
Mm.
happening. I don't know what to do. I want to move around and whatnot. Yes, I think there's going to be a lot of that. That's we're going to see is more stability and sort of find the proper use case and moat.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I feel like I subscribe to a bunch of newsletters, and I'll skim through it,
Yeah,
and I have forgotten. Like I've forgotten what they
there's so
said. I've
many.
forgotten the new tools that have come out.
Yeah,
Like it's just like unless I play around with those tools, like it's just
it's hard.
it's an information overload, right? Uh,
Hmm.
okay, so Gen AI is here to stay. So you feel like if a company had to pick up these skills, like how should they go about? Like, do you feel like they should try to AIfy certain parts of the value chain? Should they start doing demo days related to uh,
I mean,
AI products?
I think I think it's kind of goes the same thing. If it's happening everywhere, it's going to be a part of everywhere, right? So you have to think about like, why should I add it? Why do I? I think you have to really ask the hard question, like, what value do I add to my customer base, right? Their workflow and problem stack, whatever that is, and then just build something very unique to your problem instead of launching something that is fun, exciting, and just to do it, just to kind of get it out there, right? So I would do more customer learning interviews, just really figure out the problem first, right, and then add it. And I think, given that I don't think you would need to do something really custom stuff anymore. You just off the shelf get whatever, plug in the data, train the data very quickly, and just do that kind of stuff. I think that's where we're going to see a lot of it. So I think every company should think about it, but think about for their use case versus all the noise that you can feel like is out there.
And let's hear from you on the opportunity. So I'm going to throw like a bunch of options, and you tell me which one is the option to go after, right? So with this whole Gen AI movement, does it make sense to create a product that's powered by an LLM, create LLMs, be in the upskilling space because there's a massive opportunity to help people, provide services, right? Uh,
Hmm.
build marketplaces, right? Or finally be an influencer around the AI space and see if you can monetize with brands. If I had to give you these six options, where
Oof,
is the
they're all pretty
opportunity?
good. They all have the opportunity, but I think that what I like here is the um, upskilling is a really good one. I think because with AI, you often think that um, you just tell AI and ask and it just works. It's more than that. It's like really learning the skill to use this technology, right? So I think upskilling as many people as we can, and that is a part of courses, and that can be part of it being an influencer, and that can be part of like dedicated consultation and whatever the form shape it takes. I think the upskilling is something that is, and I'm talking about it more like a content creator side. I'm not going into the deep LLMs and networks and chains because that's a whole different story. But I think I see it more like content creation style. That how do we get millions of people impacted? Because you can build LLMs and networks, and
Yeah.
it's just very small companies going to do that, right? So the scale is like large on the other side for like regular people to get impacted by that. So I'll pick that. I think upscaling is will be the one.
Nice. And maybe a follow up on the upskilling. What skills would you want someone to have today as a marketer? And you could, I mean, market is a placeholder, but let's say if it was a social media manager, what would the upskilling look like for you?
I think it's using the tools actually, to be honest. That's it. Basic of the basic, but really getting understanding of these tools. Because I think sometimes those days are gone when you hired like I think we specialize in this and specialize in that and specialize in that, right? Like I can just hire anyone willing to put in the work and smart, right? And they can say, hey, you know what? Give me the data access. I don't really need it. I have this tool that can scrape all the data and figure out and analyze it for me. And then I ask the AI to do XYZ for me
Mm,
and then spit out a plan. It's like really how do you put it all together? Putting it together is a skill. So you need to know what to ask. I think where to ask and how to get that done, and which tools, and then yeah. So I think that's what it looks like, kind of making it all work in the
yeah.
world of tools and AI and apps. Yeah,
I feel like if there's a way where you can take people with like solid and tangible and then train them on these tools, that might be the perfect mix, right? Like I thought of an idea that the other
yeah,
day, which is like, what if you could take ex-athletes and then train them on all these AI tools, right? And they bring the resilience, the discipline, right? And I feel with AI tools, there's not such a learning curve also. Like take them through an 8 week program,
yeah,
and then you're like, hey, there's this person who played for the national team, right? So he or
yeah.
she will give you that sense of resilience or whatever skill set
Absolutely,
in terms of the
yeah.
intangibles, right?
You're right. I mean, I
Take them
think
through a
basic
program.
as, and I think sometimes you can pick a niche, right? I mean, if you say like salespeople, like I'll give an example, right? So basically, we do a lot of sequencing, right? Email sequencing is a very common thing that everyone does it, right? You can spend hours and hours and hours in being creative and write three emails that go one after the other one after 4 days and 3 days and 7 days, whatever the heck you want to do with it, right? Or you can ask AI. Or you can ask AI, hey, I'm going to give you exactly the persona I need, or you help me find the persona. Let's say I give your LinkedIn profile on his profile. I say, hey, this is who he is, and I want to profile this and persona this. for my product based on their interest, and now create a sequence for you. It's much more targeted, actually, right? And you can go deeper and deeper in this one. So I think if
Mm.
you use it, you have to know how to use it, right? And most people, I'm sure, are not going to ask like, "Hey, can you use a LinkedIn profile and then scrape the first school that they blah blah blah, and then add that in the
Yeah.
email, also make it interesting and see the tone of writing, and then do that." So it's like a skill that you have to learn to on how to use these things that seem basic sometimes, but I think it's like just the time, and you're not like committed and you're not doing it, or you don't know how to do it. So it's like those courses will sell like
Mm.
I think fire. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Mm. And I think sometimes context comes with experience also, right? Like to your point, if someone has done a lot of sequencing in the past, they'll be able to provide better context or has done sales in the
Yeah.
past,
Yes.
right? So it amplifies.
Yeah.
It's almost like
Yeah.
NOS. I don't know. I
Amplifies
don't
it.
know
Yeah.
if back in the day if you played what is that motorbike where you kick the guy? Motor Razor. Is that called Motor Razor?
Yeah.
Road
What was it?
Rash.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
it's
All
called
right.
Road
Yeah,
Rash.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, I must have. I mean, yes, I was in these games. Yeah, but
Yeah, so
you,
it's like you put that
you,
NOS essentially for an individual.
it's like a combination, right? You can get the best sales someone, and then best in the AI tech, and then you design something based on the experience of the other person, right? And then you can, I think, give that knowledge back to the people.
Mm. Awesome. Anyway, Ajay, this was great. Thank you for your time. I feel like we've covered all the questions. Any last words in terms of how people could connect with you, how they could potentially use Simplified? Uh, yeah, any message specifically for folks?
I mean, only message I have is an exciting space, so be a part of it. Don't shy away. Chime in, and definitely use Simplified if you need sort of like to get started. Actually, for the month or so, I'm happy to get you like on some coupon code. Who's listening? So you can just DM me on Twitter or something, on LinkedIn. Actually, find me by Ajay Yadav on LinkedIn and Simplified, or type in same thing, right? Ajay Yadav on Simplified on Twitter as well. But my handle would be on X.com. keep forgetting. It's Yadav
Yeah,
Ajay.
it's still Twitter
AJY. Yeah.
for
Yes.
us.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter for us. Yeah. Yes.
Cool, man. Awesome. Thank you so much for today, dude.
I mean, really appreciate.